Good journey, everyone. Welcome back, crucial crew members, to another serving of Space Oats Live, a Star Wars podcast, your companion for all things Star Wars, my companion for all things Star Wars. Today, we're going to do something totally different. Taking a lot of time off to think about this, and I'm going back to kind of how I started it. Those characters that we just all love. And man, I'm going to kick this off good because this character that we're going to dive into tonight, um, from the galactic underworld, or maybe I should say the morally gray area of Star Wars, um, we're going to discuss one of Star Wars' most fascinating, in my opinion, one of Star Wars' most fascinating and unpredictable characters that has not made their way onto live action yet. Um, this is one of those characters that is canon that we've not seen live action, and I think a lot of people would love to see this character show up in a series. I would think a series, maybe a movie, but I would really prefer a series with this character. But before we get into that, let's just kind of do a recap. It's been a while. It's been a while. It's been since before I made that trip across the seas over to Japan, Tokyo, Japan for Star Wars Celebration. It was fantastic. Um, I've been trying to post some things on my Instagram page, which is at the Crucial Crew member. Um, haven't really got into much yet, like the beginning of my trip, and then just like things have been going on. I haven't really been posting a lot. Um, but just what a fantastic time. Star Wars celebrations are just amazing. And, I do have a little bit up there of what I bought. Those are the sake glasses from Star Wars Celebration with the sake cup. Just so many things that I wanted to get, wanted to bring home. I think even to have the drinks, the teas with the Star Wars. You had there was that was a kind of a just a you go and you chances which one you were going to get. You didn't know. That was one of two that I got. The other one is over here. But what a fantastic time Star Wars Celebration was, and just so many people there um, that were new to Star Wars Celebration. I think they said about 75%. 70 to 75% of the people that showed up were first timers, which was fantastic. So cool. And then also, we had an amazing meetup with um, Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser um, crew members and passengers. I would say about almost two, I would say, gotta be what was it, like 150 people that showed up? Had to have been somewhere around there. It was a lot of people, and not everybody showed up. So that was like the coolest thing, just to show the support for that. That meetup that night was amazing. Um, Coming back, I mean, we had Andor season 2, which, I mean, just can't say enough about Andor season 2. Can't wait for the next thing to come out, which I think is Star Wars Visions Chapter 3. Will be coming out later this year. So many more announcements at Star Wars Celebration. We got a Maul series coming, which man, can't wait for that. I'm a Maul fan. When I got some Maul back here, Maul back here, Maul back here, right there. Just some amazing things. Um, what a great time. What a great time. Japan was amazing. I spent some time in Japan afterwards. It was just fantastic. Um, yeah, and I've been coming back and then just like traveling again for family, all sorts of stuff. And I'm not really feeling that great. I kind of this like head congestion thing, but I didn't want to go any further. So I just wanted to go live tonight. So bear with me with this whole thing going on in my head. But I hope everybody doesn't get it. I've been like sick and then not sick and then sick again. It's just like it's been crazy. But hope everybody's doing fantastic. But again, we are going to dive into a specific character tonight. We're going to do a character that's been um, in the comic format, in audio drama, and yeah, we've had plenty of story about her. Not seen her live action as of yet. It would be really cool to be able to see this character in live action. Cross paths with a lot of characters that we have seen, and we know that we could pretty much see her in the rise of the rise of the empire, the kind of the downfall of the Empire, the New Republic era, because she's spanned that whole time period, and she's after Return of the Jedi, kind of in her 30s, so that's like peak, right? We could get a really cool actress to play that part. We could do deep dive during the Rebellion time frame. Um, we could do after New Republic frame. There would be some awesome stories that we can play with this character, especially since she has ties to another amazing Lucasfilm character. So, who is this person? You probably figured it out by now. I mean, I have a comment there about who you would like to see this character be played by if they were ever brought to live action. So please comment on that. Let me know what you think. I'm going to kind of give you my thoughts in the end of this podcast of who I would love to see bring this character to life on screen. And because I am a Marvel fan as well. I love Marvel series, so it kind of ties to that. And this has been thrown around on the internet a little bit before. So, maybe this will come to play. She does have a lot of ties with Disney, with Marvel. Maybe we'll see her in a Lucasfilm project playing this character. But I am talking about none other than Dr. Aphra. Dr. Aphra, um, I'm throwing up a comic here because basically this is based on my title tonight for Space Oats podcast, which is, of course, episode 75. Well, I do ruin everything I touch. And that is taken from Crimson Reign, Star Wars Dr. Aphra, issue number 18. It was at the end of that issue with the conversation with her and Saint Staros, which we learn they have a lot of backstory with each other and kind of meet up throughout the series of Dr. Aphra. Love to see Saint Staros also as well in live action. Would be fantastic. Maybe we'll talk about that in a future Space Olds podcast. But Dr. Aphra, the rogue archaeologist, full name Dr. And I don't get me if I butcher this because I've not actually, I meant to look at the official, read a little bit of or listen to the excerpt of the audiobook, which I have not listened to yet, to know the exact pronunciation of her name. But I think it is Chele Lona Aphra. And would just such a fantastic character. Now, if you have been around the Star Wars comic scene, you definitely know who Dr. Aphra is, because basically that is where her stories have been told within the comic book world. She's been fantastic as far as the stories that we've been seeing. You would know Aphra if you've been reading the comics. But for those of you that are new to this absolute whirlwind of a character, I'm going to get you kind of up to speed on who this character is. And maybe, just maybe, you'll want to take a dive into reading some of the stories about Dr. Aphra. Maybe you'll get excited. Maybe we'll just generate this enthusiasm for this character, and maybe we will get a series on Disney Plus, or maybe even this character just showing up in one of these series or movies that are upcoming with a Lucasfilm project. Wouldn't even mind seeing her in animation, which we haven't even seen yet. So that would be fantastic. Dr. Aphra actually first burst onto the scene with Marvel Comics 2015 Darth Vader series, and it was this comic here where she first appeared. It was Darth Vader number 3, March 25th, 2015 was when we saw her first introduced into the comic book format. Basically, Vader kind of having his own agenda and looking to seek out information, and he basically comes into contact with Dr. Aphra and basically hires her. She's very famous for her unpredictable nature, a mind sharper than a vibroblade, and let's be honest, morals as questionable as a Jawa's pricing. So that's what makes her just so amazing. She's a rogue archaeologist, folks. That means she's obsessed with ancient artifacts and tech. Because, if you're an archaeologist in the Star Wars galaxy, it also has to do with old tech, right? So that's pretty amazing and fun. Kind of gives that archaeologist term in the galaxy just a little bit different. But again, you see how much she is into tech and droids and things when you get into this series, especially right off in Darth Vader issue number 3. She'll go to some pretty daring and morally ambiguous lengths to get these archaeological finds and this tech. And you see that in her adventures. That's what draws you in. It kind of has this like Indiana Jones, Tomb Raider vibe to it, which I think if you have been a Lucasfilm fan, if you're into those adventures, I think that was really drew me into this character, especially since I'm an Indiana Jones fan, but also Tomb Raider as well. So kind of gives a little bit of an in between with these two characters, mixes them up, mashes them up, and we got this great character here in Dr. Aphra. Her origin story is really wild in these first couples in these issues of Darth Vader. Once she's brought onto the scene in this series, recruited by Darth Vader himself. I mean, can you imagine that, being recruited by Darth Vader to carry out some fantastic adventures? Again, sorry. And it really did lead to one of the most tumultuous ends and, frankly, hilarious relationships in the Star Wars canon. Just the back and forth between the two, the predictability of her kind of knowing what she was getting into and where it might end for her, but just kind of just going forward anyway, making that leap and going for it with this one of the most darkest characters in the galaxy at the time, obviously, besides going up with and befriending the Emperor herself. And she's rarely alone. She's always got like sidekicks, which is fantastic. So one of her sidekicks has been in live action. That would be Chrysanthemum, the Wookiee bounty hunter, which we got to see in live action in the Book of Boba Fett. That character was also in Dr. Aphra storyline as one of her accomplices and companions during the way. But most famously, she's accompanied by her delightful and terrifying companion droids 000 and BT1, which are pictured here on the cover of Darth Vader number 3. Starting off strong in this issue with her. Again, sorry about that, man. I don't know. Now I'm kind of second guessing, should I have done this or not? 000 being a protocol droid, kind of like the darker version of C-3PO, honestly, and really kind of having those red eyes that we saw C-3PO end up having. So kind of like an Easter egg into the 000 character, then in Rise of Skywalker. BT-1, a R5 droid, but no, a BT droid, I guess. But looking like an R5 droid, but black again, and just an arsenal of weapons. Not your typical protocol and astromech droids, more interested in torture, destruction, than serving any drinks, as you would normally see certain of these protocol droids and astromechs doing in the Star Wars universe, besides some of our favorites. What makes Aphra so compelling? I believe this really is just that the reason why she's gained such a huge following, which she has, is that she's a truly complex character, but very relatable as well. You can't really just slap a good or an evil label on her. She's manipulative, she's self-serving at times, but then just when you think you've got her pegged, and she shows moments of genuine compassion and loyalty. So kind of like that smuggler-ish like tone that we got from Han Solo when we first met him, and yet he was so likable. Just so many things are relatable to her as a character. So her incredible relatability, despite her questionable life choices, I think is truly what makes us connect with her, because we do maybe see a little bit of ourselves in her. She truly navigates both the dark and the light sides of the galaxy with a flair all her own. And like just some of the best characters that do that, I think are the best characters. The Grey Jedis, Ahsoka, just those characters, that just they don't go the complete one direction or the other, but have that like middle ground. They see the 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 paths like just going full length in each direction, just having its difficulties in those paths as well, but kind of finding that middle road. And this is what this character does that best, I believe, and especially, you know, in comic format. It again, I think we would be able to have some amazing stories, um, some amazing adventures in a series, with some overall story arc that maybe even ties into the rest of the Star Wars galaxy. I mean, they could throw in Aphra kind of in the background of some of the stories that are already mixed within, you know, around the Battle of Yavin to throughout the original series, that would tie in very well. But then also in the New Republic era, you know, we could tie in some stories now that we have like Skeleton Crew, which kind of has that like Goonies archaeological like pirate feel. Dr. Aphra would fit very well in that part of the Mandoverse. You know, if they do continue, if we do get another Skeleton Crew season 2, I think that's where Dr. Aphra would really show up as a cool character, a side character that maybe the kids can feel that they can trust, but then maybe she stabs them in the back, and then maybe comes around in the end, kind of like, we thought, Nar was going to do. Um, but you know, in the end, we realized that he actually ended up being a bad character. I think it would be really cool to kind of have her, you know, in that kind of same light as like a character we're not really sure about, and going back and forth with these kids in a Skeleton Crew season 2. I think that would be a fantastic introduction to her character. And new adventures. Speaking of new adventures, of where she could spotlight again, we do actually have a new adventure for her, that just got announced, and is actually going to be released today, and that would be, um, June 18th, today, the release of Star Wars Dr. Aphra Chaos Agent #1. I'm going to go ahead and throw up the cover. There's a lot of variant covers that I'm going to kind of go through. But this is the cover of the episode of the issue here, which we kind of learn a lot about this issue. So we know we're in the New Republic era, right? Because there's Luke Skywalker on the cover. Um, This is an all new ongoing series. Again, this is an issue #1 that gets released today. It is written by the talented Cheris Chen, with art by Gabriel Guzman, and a fantastic cover here by E.J. Su. I think this is the cover by E.J. Su. Anyway, again, I said there was tons of variant covers for this issue. Love how Star Wars always does a variant cover, you know, that really kind of doesn't really have to do with anything of the series, but here's a great cover of a variant cover of this Dr. Aphra with the Force Awakens scene here with Finn with Maz Kanata. Maz Kanata, one of my favorite characters, as well. And then we have another variant cover here, Dr. Aphra in all of her glory there, with an artifact in hand, which is pretty great. Another amazing cover right here, and I'm going to kind of stop here and talk a little bit about some of the variant covers, as well as a little bit more about the synopsis of this series. I loved this cover, by the way. So what can we expect from this new series? The synopsis brings out that is reads, "Out from the shadow of Darth Vader, Dr. Aphra returns, an all-new ongoing series featuring the rogue archaeologist as she makes her way through the galaxy in the era of the New Republic," as we could clearly see. Aphra must team up with Luke Skywalker, as we saw from that first cover, to track down a rare artifact. And what will she do when her tattoos no longer function? Interesting. That'll be an interesting little side story there. So a team up with Luke Skywalker. That is huge. You know, one of my favorite characters that has not been brought to live action, to one of the original OG amazing characters, Luke Skywalker, a Force user, a non-Force user, can't wait to see this team up in this episode. It doesn't look like they're all happy and fun and games though. Maybe she turns on him a little bit as you see on that cover. But for those eagle-eyed fans, you might have also caught, might have already translated if you're in that mind in Arabesh with this variant cover here, but this translates to Chelly Aphra 692006, which I was trying to find maybe some correlation to a date for June 9th, 2006. Really couldn't find anything tying into Dr. Aphra, except for the fact that that was the it had something to do with Padme, and I forget what it was, and I forgot to write it down. But there was and you know what? I'm gonna look it up real quick because there was something with Padme with this 69 2006 69 2006. Let me see if I can't find that real quick. See if I can't find this. Let me just do it this way. June 9th, 2006. Star Wars. There was something with this real quick. It was, oh yeah, Padme, had to do with Padme. Natalie Portman was born on June 9th, 2006, and the first issue or first appearance of Dr. Aphra, one of the reasons why she was kind of brought into play with to find more about Padme's death. Was one of the reasons to try to figure out a little bit more about that and how she died was one of Darth Vader's plans. So I don't know if that's what that means, why that happened, but the only other thing I could find was something that happened with the Clone Wars, a series that came out that day. But so the Padme though, Natalie Portman, birthday 6/9/2006. Don't know if that has any correlation to this or not, but pretty interesting to find out. Maybe somehow Padme comes into play. If she knows about Padme, maybe she gives some information to Luke in the series that we may not know yet. So that'll be a pretty interesting tie if that's the case. And then it says New Republic custody. So don't know if this variant cover has anything to do with the series, but it sounds like she's already found herself in some hot water, which is classic Aphra, according to this variant anyway. Don't know if it comes into play at all. This is the variant cover of that same issue, just with the numbered and title on that series. And then another variant cover here with her flying a speeder of some sort, which is pretty cool as well. And one last one, I almost forgot about this one. This one's a cool one. This is her and Luke playing nice back to back in this episode or in this issue, and looks fantastic as well. So exciting issue. Again, issue number 1 came out today, so pick that up if you are a Dr. Aphra fan. If you're not a Dr. Aphra fan, I don't know, maybe this will be a good starting point because it does have some familiar characters to it, or go back to Darth Vader because that is a great series as well, and read those series. You'll get introduced to Dr. Aphra, and it'll be an amazing series. I promise you that. And just to add a little bit of spice to this podcast tonight, what if Dr. Aphra came to live action? Nobody answered as of yet to my question there, but maybe there'll be some comments a little bit later. But my thoughts on this are, if Dr. Aphra did have a on-screen persona, I would have to go with this actress right here, Miss Chloe Bennett. I think she would be a fantastic Dr. Aphra. Her name was kind of floated around as being a good possibility for this. The age does match up. She's around 30-some years old, and if we did do a New Republic era Dr. Aphra, that would be around the same time period because she was born about 20-some years before the Battle of Yavin. So if we add, 10 more years to that, we get into the mid to late 30s, early 40s, and I think Chloe Bennett could pull that off. I think Dr. Aphra would be fantastic. I'm sure she stays into shape, so she probably is still looking pretty good in that age range. I mean, we see her in this post Return of the Jedi series, and she still looks pretty fantastic. So I think Chloe Bennett would be a perfect match for a Dr. Aphra series live action. And she does have this Marvel. I mean, remember her from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., playing Sky, Daisy. I loved that series, loved Chloe Bennett in that character and what she did with the powers and everything. And it just fantastic. I would love to see her in this role. I think she would do fantastic. Tell me what you think about that. If you agree with me, if you have another choice for a live action portrayal of Dr. Aphra, I would love to hear it. I would love to dive into that character. If this character, if you've never heard of Dr. Aphra in your life, going back to my favorite shot here. If you have never heard of Dr. Aphra and this podcast has piqued your interest into this character, which I really, really hope it has, there's plenty of ways to dive a little bit deeper into her. Obviously, the comics are the primary resource with her ongoing series, as well as being a part of some of the other major series, especially being introduced in the Darth Vader series back in 2015. There's also the canon audio drama, which I had mentioned, which is titled Dr. Aphra. I have not listened to that, but it's on my list to do. There's also a script book version of that if you prefer to read and not do audio dramas. Of course, for all of our lore junkies that just want to know a little bit more about this character and maybe get excited about her and who she is, you can also find tons of info on StarWars.com in the databank, and then also the Star Wars Canon Extended Wiki pages, which give you a complete rundown of all of her history, from her parents, her parental background, upbringing, to her university days, where she met Sena Staros, to all of her adventures with Vader and throughout, even. Yeah, just so many stories. The extended wiki, you can just find so much. And then plus many, many, many YouTube videos packed with various videos and podcasts aside from this one here, of course, Space Oats Live, that will deliver much deeper content into her character. So whether Dr. Aphra is dodging the Empire, outsmarting ancient traps, or just trying to survive her own chaotic brilliance, she remains a compelling and beloved figure in the Star Wars galaxy. Can't wait to see what mischief she's going to get into in Chaos Agent 1, released today, and would love to see her get into some mischief in live action in the future. That is going to be it for tonight for Space Oats Live. That's all I got for you today. Again, kind of a brief one today, but you know what? I wanted to come back. I wanted to say hi, and man, my head's just like killing me here. But join me next time, hopefully next week, for more galactic goodness. Next week on Space Oats Live, a Star Wars podcast. I am the Crucial Crew member. Have a great night, and may the stars light your way.